Okay, my battery went dead. Hopefully we can get through this. If not, I will do another one. Or I'll pick up where I left off. But we were talking about Faith Morin, who goes by 3 different names. So look in your book at the bottom of page 47. Her name is Faith Morin. So first of all, we're going to file her name under the M's for Morin. So we're going to underline her last name, put a diagonal between the 2 names, and Faith is Unit 2. Okay? The next thing that she's known as is Faith Morin Ripley. So then we need to make Morin Ripley with no hyphen, because there's no punctuation. We're going to have to make that a cross-reference because she's also known as that name. So she's going to be known as Morin, and then Morin Ripley, and then she's also known as just Ripley, and then Ripley again. Okay. So we've got 3 cross-references for Faith Morin because she's known as 3 other names. So if we look at all of these right here that she's known as, if you see under each one, we're going to see who. Because we're filing it under what? Morin. So we've got to see Morin Faith, because we're filing it under the M's for Morin. Okay? So that's example of alternate names. The next one is similar names, and I hope the battery does not go dead. You're going to probably have to play this more than once, and I hope this helps you. The next one is similar names. This is a little bit different. So far we've been seeing this. See whoever. Okay? In similar names it's going to be always see also. See also for similar names. Okay? So look on the next page. And what this means is on page 48 is that you have names that sound alike but are spelled differently. Like, for instance, this example is brown. Like the color brown. It could be spelled this way, B-R-A-U-N, or B-R-A-W-N. Okay? So you would have to do a see also for each one of those. So in a correspondence file, there would likely be a permanent cross-reference sheet, this one right here, so that if you have a lot of the same sounds, but they're spelled differently, then you're going to have to do it on a cross-reference sheet. So if someone's last name is Brown, you have to do a C also for Brown. It's actually spelled, pronounced Brown, like that, just like it is in your book, and include Brown with an E. Well, no, this one doesn't have an E. Yeah, they've got Brown right here with an E. So if you have someone's last name with Brown, then you're going to have to include these 3 if they're in your filing system, to look at these 3 to find the person you're looking for. If I come in and say I'm looking for Charles Brown, and the lady says, okay, well let me look in my filing cabinet and pull his record. So you go to Brown for B. Go to B right here, and you've got Brown. And I forgot what I said his first name was. We'll say Charles. And, you know, we've got Candace, something else, and then Charles here. But maybe it's not the right Charles Brown. Maybe his last name is spelled B-R-A-U-N. So then we have to make sure we look at this cross-reference to find the correct Charles Brown. That gives you another example there for Johnson. It could be spelled J-O-H-N-S-E-N. It could have Johnston with a T, because some people get it confused. A lot of people think we're Johnson Community College and not Johnston. So a lot of things can happen. So it just makes things quicker for retrieval when you're looking for records. Okay. The next one is business names. Okay, the first one here is compound names. Actually, it's got several. It's got more than two. So the first one here is Jarvis Rasmussen and Sheridan Antiques. And we know by our rules that business names are coded as written. So if we wanted to code this one, the first thing we need to do is underline, because it's as written, underline Jarvis, and then put all your diagonals even between after and here. So you've got all these diagonals. So then you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 units after the key unit. Okay? So look over to the right at the bottom of page 48, and we're going to cross-reference it. And look at what happens. Okay? We're going to start with the second name, Rasmussen, okay, Sheridan, and Jarvis Antiques. So Rasmussen is going to be what we file this one under, and we're going to put all our diagonals, and then we're going to number them. So we still got 5 units because there's 6 altogether, but we're just going under the R's this time. Okay? And then we're going to see the actual original name, which is this right here. Okay, so that's the first one. That's your first cross-reference right there. If you notice, you've got another one. And that one's going to start with Sheridan. This name. Because we've already done Jarvis and Rasmussen, so that leaves Sheridan. Because these are names in a business. So the next one we're going to have to do is Sheridan. That's going to be the key unit right there, okay? Jarvis and Rasmussen Antiques. And here we're going to see the same thing here. So you've got 2 cross-references. So you've got Jarvis, Rasmussen, and Sheridan. So we filed it under Jarvis. Now we've got to move to Rasmussen. Now we've got to move to Sheridan. And if you look again, look at this one, Jarvis, Rasmussen, and Sheridan. Okay, so we'll start with this one here for the second one. Okay, so we go back again. We're going to go Rasmussen, Sheridan Jarvis. Rasmussen Sheridan Jarvis. You see, you're going back around like that right there. Okay? And then this one you've got Sheridan that we're going to do. Sheridan Jarvis Rasmussen. So you see, we're going around. We stay in order, stay in line, just go back around like that. But always go back and see, do your cross-reference to see the original. So you can always find it by any three of these names right here. Okay. Now I'm going a little fast, but you can play this over and over and over. And make sure that you right-click and save this to your desktop. I'm telling you, just much easier that way than streaming it over the internet. And it's taking up bandwidth and all that stuff. So just right-click and save it to your computer, and it's much quicker. Okay, the next one on page 49 is abbreviations and acronyms. So when a business is commonly known by an abbreviation or acronym, a cross-reference is prepared for the full name. Examples are MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and so on. Okay, so we've got a company here that's known as MAD. Okay, so we've got to make a cross-reference for what this stands for. So we're going to cross-reference it, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Okay, so mothers right here. We're going to go to the M's. So then we're going to have C, MAD. Just like that. The next one is Easy Electronics. You can look at that one, and you see there's two different names in there. You got Ewan and Zucker Electronics. The first one you're going to cross-reference Ewan. The second one you're going to cross-reference Zucker. You got to cross-reference all the names in that whole business name. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do some of the cross-referencing, the self-check. So hopefully this will help you when you do your assignment. So the first one here, first thing we need to do is identify the units in the filing segment names. Code the names by underlining the key unit, numbering the other units, and placing diagonal lines between the units. And then write the cross-reference for the names that require them. So the first one is WKKP radio station. Okay, so this is a business name, so we code it as written. So we're going to underline and put our diagonals, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a business name. There is nothing else here we need to do, because for once we don't know what WKKP stands for. Another thing is most all radio stations have different letters than this right here. So we know to look for WMPM or WKKP, a WRAL, something like that. So there's no cross-referencing here. Only thing you need to do here is underline, put your diagonals, and number your units, and no cross-reference. Okay? Let's look at B on page 49. IBM. This is just like MAD. Okay? So what we need to do here is we need to do a cross-reference, okay, for what this stands for, and it gives you what that is in the book. International Business Machines. Okay, and remember, we have to code it. It's a business name, so we code it as written. International, draw diagonals. Okay, so we know we're going to file this under the I's, but we're going to see what? The IBM. Okay? Let's see, the next one is, let's do E. Joan Childress Edwards. Okay, so this is a hyphenated name. Okay, so we need to actually do a cross-reference on her married name, Edwards, Joan. Remember, we're going around like this right here. We drop it this one, we move to the next one. Okay, Joan, Edwards Joan Childress. Okay, underline Edwards. Put your 2 and your 3 in your diagonals. Okay, so when you do your cross-reference, then you're going to see who? Childress Edwards. Because remember, you remove the punctuation like that. Joan Childress Edwards. We're going to cross-reference it to her married name and go file it under the E's, okay? And then the rest of it we go back around in order, Joan Childress, and then we're going to see her original last name. So we can find Joan either by her married name or her maiden and last married name, by both of them. F. The Riverside Terrace. Okay, there's no cross-reference here. It's just a business name. Okay? But remember about the word the. The Riverside Terrace. Okay, so remember that the word the always comes at the end, because if we labeled everything under the word the, can you imagine how many folders you would have with the word, starting with the word the for T's? So we're going to have to underline Riverside Terrace, because we're going all the way around like this. 3 goes at the end. So we would file this under the R's, Riverside Terrace, the. That would be the name on the record. Okay? The next one, let's see here. The next one is an unusual name in G. Akio Saga. Okay, so we know, looking at it like this in the book, that this is the last name, because you write your first name and your last name. So we know this is the last name. So we're going to underline it. It's our key unit, put a diagonal 2. So we're going to file this under the S's. Okay? So because it is an unusual name, then you're going to have to do a flip-flop, crisscross, cross-reference. Okay? So then you're going to have to do Kia, or you can actually do it differently, like this. Okay? And then you put, see, I just flipped the names around. Well, I didn't really flip them, but I put the underline here first. That's the last name. And then when I cross-reference, I'm going to underline this name because they're unusual. Okay? And then once I flip-flop it with the cross-reference, then I always have to go back and see the original. See the Saga IKEA. Like that. We have to go back and look at the S's. So we got a file under the S and an A. Now in letter I, you got 3 names there, so you should have a cross-reference for each name. Because the first thing you're going to do for Smith is underline it. Put your diagonals. That one's coded and ready to be filed. Then you're going to do 2 more cross-references. You're going to do one for Childers and one for Jones. J, BBC. Okay? We know that BBC stands for Big Bend Community College. Okay? So we need a cross-reference for Big Bend Community College. And then C, BBCC. Okay? Let's look on page 56. This is your applications. Very first one there is you're going to index, code, and sort. And I'm just going to help you index and code. I'm not going to do any sorting. But basically sorting means that you're putting it all in alphabetical order after you sort all of it. Okay? So remember, you're using the Excel template that is loaded in Blackboard for doing these exercises. So we got Lydia Kavanaugh. Okay, this is a name. So her last name is Kavanaugh. We're going to underline it, draw a diagonal, 2. So in your book it says, what's the key unit? Key unit, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. Okay, in this case, Kavanaugh is your key unit. Unit 2 is Lydia. So that's your first one. We don't have a unit 3, 4, and 5 because there's only 2 words in her name. Look at the next one. Maria Cristina Castro. Maria Cristina Castro. So her last name is Castro. Draw your diagonals. So we're going to put Castro, Maria, and unit 3 is Christina. And the reason we make this as a 3rd unit is because there's no hyphen in there. So we treat these as separate units. If you look at number 4, Jane Carter Anderson. Jane Carter hyphen Anderson. Okay. And her last name is Carter Anderson hyphen 2. Okay. So the key unit is going to be what? Carter Anderson with no hyphen. Carter Anderson. And Jane is unit 2. So you see, you drop any punctuation, put it together, and these go together. This one did not have a hyphen, so that made that a 3rd unit. So when you file the records, you see, just putting these 3 right here in order, you've got Castro, so that's going to be 1. Then you've got Kavanaugh, because we're looking at the C, and then the A. Both of these got a C and an A. And then an S comes before V. Okay, so that one's going to be 2. And then this one is, no, this one's an R. This one's an A also. Hold on. Okay, we've got CA, CA, CA. Carter Anderson. Okay. So Castro, R comes before S. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. And these 3 names right here. Now your answers in the book will be different after you do them all. But you see that we're looking here, we're going by the letters. You count letter by letter. C-A-V, C-A-S, C-A-R. So R-S-V. 1, 2, 3. That's how you put it in order. Alright, and then on page 57, you're going to have to write the cross references in these boxes based off of the applications you did 1 through 20. So if anything needs to be cross-referenced, then you need to fill these in here. So you'll determine which name should be cross-referenced 1 through 20, complete it in the cross-reference blanks, and number each one with its original number, like number 1, and put an X with it. So in the cross-reference box, you would put 1X and then the cross-reference of whatever it is. Okay? 1 is not a cross-reference, by the way. So just letting you know, that's how you do your cross-references. It gives you an example there. 4. Jane Carter Anderson. Because she has a hyphenated name, we have to cross-reference it to her married name. So because that's number 4, we're going to put 4X, and then we're going to put, just like they've got in that green box on page 57. That's exactly how you do the cross-reference. And then you're going to do the same thing on page 58 through 60. Same thing. It's going to be very, very good practice for you to do this. And look at page 58 for just a second. This was covered in your book in the first part of chapter 2. For instance, let's look at number 7. Tots are us preschool. Tots are us preschool. Okay? So remember, you have to drop all the hyphens, and when you do that, you slide it together. This is a business name. Okay? So you're going to underline that like that. Okay? And that's going to be your unit 2. Look at number 10. The number 1 printer. Remember, you have to write out symbols. This is the business name. I mean, how else could you file that symbol right there? So you have to spell it out, okay? So always spell out your symbols. And then remember that the is going to always come last. So we're going to file this under the ends. Put your diagonals. 2, 3, 4. So on number 10, your key unit is number, the word number. Unit 2 is the number 1. Unit 3 is printer. And Unit 4 is the word the. Okay, if you, again, study your rules, 1 through 4, I think you'll do fine with as far as indexing and coding, and then go back and read the cross-referencing again, look at it, take the time to look at it. Hopefully this video will help you, and again, if you think you might need some tutoring, you need to call Krista Strube, and that information is already in Blackboard. And I'm going to upload this video now, and I will be doing a demonstration for Job 1, Report Sheet 1 later, because that's not going to be due until February 3rd. So you've got some time on that, because I want you to be able to absorb this information, okay, because we're going to start learning some more rules next week. Okay, so just hang in there, These first few chapters is a little tough, but once you get past those, you'll be fine. Okay? I hope you have a great day.